Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via Livestream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpru.com.
Good evening. Welcome to Leadership Live at 8:05. This is Andrew Frazier, Business Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. I'm here today and for some reason having a little bit of technical difficulties with the back of my screen. So I'm going to try and fix that and we'll just get started. First off, welcome again to Leadership Live at 8:05. We're sponsored and produced through the Small Business Pro University. I'm going to put on a quick video just to tell you a little bit about the Small Business Pro University as I try and figure out what's going on with the background technical difficulties. Thanks, and look forward to catching back up with you in a second. Do you own your business or does it own you? Is your business growing and are you making enough money? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to know to become more successful. Hello, my name is Andrew Frazier, the Business Growth Pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University has self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experiences created by more than 20 instructors who are business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secrets to creating a successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program or just simply choose the courses that you need at www.sbpru.com. We will empower you to thrive and not just survive and make more money in any business environment. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm still having a little technical difficulty with the background. Hopefully we can figure that out, but let's get started. Today is, another Tuesday evening. This evening's show is going to be a little bit different. Actually, I'm going to be the host and the guest, kind of asking questions, answering questions. I've got a lot of questions from people that I've talked to about different things that can help them with their business. And, we're going to go back, use that format tonight, but we'll be back to the normal format starting next week. And, hopefully we can also make this even more interactive since, would love to have questions from the audience and participants and really focus it on what can be most valuable for you as a business owner. So feel free to ask questions and, look forward to having a great conversation and discussion and covering some things that could be valuable. The topic today is it's about running your business like a pro. That's one of the key things that, I focus on and really help people to do. And, at the end of the day, many business owners are unprepared for the challenges that they're going to face as a business owner. And, one of the keys is to continually learn and develop and build your skills. And you can do that through learning how to run your business more professionally. So we're going to talk about what does that mean? How do you do that? We talk about Leadership Live as at the end of the day, you have to lead your organization to where you need it to be. So it's a combination of leadership, education, knowledge, abilities, skills, all those things pull together to being able to lead your business more professionally. And at the end of the day, it's a continually learning process. I'm learning every day, every week, and hopefully you are too. And this can just be a piece of what you're learning. So sit back. We're going to enjoy this evening. I've got a few people on. Definitely, just put in the chat, say hello. Glad to have you. And feel free to ask any questions that you might have as we go along. So let's get started and take a look at, what we've got on the plate for now. Okay. So as many of you may know, I wrote the book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro. And it's based on things that I've learned over the last 12 years working one-on-one with entrepreneurs and business owners, just seeing firsthand many of the challenges that they have and sort of working with them to find ways to overcome those challenges. Although you're a business owner and you face these challenges that are new to you, that doesn't mean they're necessarily new to business owners. Many challenges that are faced by many business owners. Maybe they look a little different, feel a little different, but there are a lot of similarities in those. So approaching the best way to overcome them is key. And there's specific things you can do and prepare to do to make that journey easier and better. So that's what we're really going to talk about tonight. Being able to figure out, how to run your business more professionally, how to prepare in advance for things that are coming, and then how to navigate challenging situations and what, different things that you can do. Fair enough? Let's get started. So before we get started into the topic, I'll just give a little bit of, a background and a little bit about my journey so you can understand sort of where I'm coming from and, how I've developed the perspective that we use for the business. So as you may know, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Steelers. Growing up, my parents were teachers, so they made sure that I did well in school. And actually in the fourth grade, had an opportunity to take on a paper route with my brother Av, which is really our first entrepreneurial experience. And really learned a lot of things, including customer service, sales skills, but also, one thing that a lot of people who are business owners don't really encounter till they have a business is, it's one thing to do the work. Sometimes it's another thing to actually get paid for doing the work. So, that's an important piece of making sure that, not only you do the work successfully, but you make sure that you are paid for the work that you're doing successfully. Additionally, beyond that, we took the paper route, and because of our relationships, we were able to develop and grow, but also we were able to expand it into also providing snow shoveling services. Since we knew everybody, they were comfortable with us. There was a need, and they didn't know. They asked us, how to handle that. So we were able to build, revenue stream and business around that. Not only just doing it ourselves, but also even bringing our friends and other people to the table to do the shoveling so that we could grow. So great learning experience working with managing people, especially your friends and acquaintances, as well as just coordinating the operations and schedules, which are key things of being a business owner. In addition, what we've got is, went through school, did pretty well. So I had an opportunity to study mechanical engineering at MIT. And during that time period, I actually ran a business. We called it a creative media business, where we actually sold pre-printed pre-printed and custom designed t-shirts and other types of artwork and images. So that was great during school, was able to sell and develop the business there. Graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering and participated in Navy ROTC. So graduating, I became a naval officer and served as a Navy Supply Corps officer on a ship where I ran all the business functions of a ship. So an opportunity to pay everybody, manage the books. Actually, it was interesting because I could actually sign treasury checks that you get from the IRS. We would go to the bank with a gun and take out $100,000-$200,000 when we were getting ready to go out to sea. So, at a really young age, I had an opportunity to really be involved in key things like that. But not only there, had an opportunity to run the retail function. So looked at, a P&L, sales, inventory, products, making sure that you're profitable and you turn your inventory. And then had a team that we worked with on developing that. And food service. Food service was pretty interesting because, that's where where I really learned an important lesson. And that you can please some of the people some of the time, and you can please most of the people a little bit of the time, but you can never please everybody at any time. One day, we'd have a meal, spaghetti. 10 people would be like, oh, that's the best meal we ever had. And 5 people would be like, that's the worst meal I ever had. You guys are terrible. And then the next day you have steak, and a different 5 people are like, oh, this steak is really great. And then another 10 people saying, oh, this steak is really tough. It's really bad. It's terrible. So, that's an important lesson to learn in business and in life, is that you can't always please everyone, and you can't take that personally. You have to really take that and make sure you're doing the best job and performance that you can, and your team is, but also understanding that you can't take personally feedback from others, and you can take it constructively and use it to improve. But, just understand that you can't please everybody all of the time, and you shouldn't feel like you need to. Important lesson learned there. Another lessons, after I finished up with the Navy, I worked for a private company as a manager in a warehouse. We shipped over 8,000 orders a day for my department, and we were UPS's biggest customer. And, learned a lot about operational excellence, about managing people and managing processes and systems, and really saw how having everything aligned and organized allowed us to be so efficient. It was incredible. The company was so well run. Even back a long time ago, they had great technology and great systems. So it's important to make sure you incorporate technology as a strategic advantage. And also a few things that they did that helped make them successful is they brought new people, new perspectives in, and had them work on improving the business, develop white papers, do analysis. A lot of times businesses focus on just doing the job, getting the products out. But, if you're going to have a manager, you have to let them manage and work on improving the business and focus on improving the business, rather than them just working all the time, making sure things got done today or got done this week. It's the manager's job is a lot bigger than that, and they should be focused on continually improving your business, which is something that takes, the ability to take time to look at what's going on, analyze it, understand it, look at options, and, implement them over time. And, if you don't have that, it's really not possible to work on your business effectively. So either you have to take on the manager function, depending on what the structure of your business is and how many employees you have, or your manager, you have to let them manage. You can't micromanage them, or else if you do that, they're not going to be able to manage effectively, and effectively you become the manager and you're just paying them a lot of money to not manage and be a supervisor. So, I work with a lot of business owners, and it's really hard for them not to micromanage their managers. But that's one of the most important things you can do. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we progress in the thing. But, very important things that I learned there. From there, I went back and got my MBA in finance from NYU. Had an opportunity to, work in a pension investment department, in mergers and acquisitions, in investments, and also did some operations and other types of work. But, being in the corporate environment, seeing how structured it is, understanding how organized they are, and just seeing the planning process, understanding, developing budgets, developing estimates, developing projections, and how that works in preparing your business and really organizing your business for success. Beyond that, working at a Fortune 500 company as a junior executive and then an executive, and then being the chief operating officer of a national nonprofit trade organization. Just gave me a breadth and depth of experience and knowledge across the board in different areas of business, and really try to bring that to the table in everything I do. So that's really my journey. And that led me to where I am now of coaching, consulting, and training entrepreneurs and small business owners, and helping them to be more successful in what they do, so that they can grow their revenues, increase profitability, and obtain financing. So that's really what I focus on. That's what we're going to talk more about today, is some of the secrets to being able to do that successfully. So I want to take a minute to just share a little bit, a short video on the Power Breakfast. For those of you who don't know, we've done Power Breakfast events for almost 10 years. We're doing our first live Power Breakfast event since COVID on October 29th. And, it's a great opportunity to connect, build relationships, and, develop, and learn some valuable things at the breakfast. It's going to be October 29th. Our featured guest speaker is going to be Dale Caldwell. He's professor and executive director of the Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And he's doing some great things there and has a lot of great things to share. So hopefully you can make it. But for those of you who haven't been to the Power Breakfast, just to give you a little bit of a feel for what the Power Breakfast is really about, I've got a quick video so you can see a little bit more. If you are looking to increase revenues, improve profitability, and or obtain financing for your business, you need to check out the Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro conferences. My name is Andrew Frazier. One of the things we're here to do is supercharge your day.
Today's Power Breakfast has really been a phenomenal experience. I think it's exactly what business owners need, some true guidance of people who are genuine and really are leading them in the true direction of business growth and expansion.
The Power Breakfast is so important for the entrepreneurial community because it gives the various business people who come together an opportunity to interact and also do some business.
These events, hosted by Andrew Frazier, President and COO of Small Business Like a Pro, will supercharge your day.
Great. So that's what the Power Breakfast is all about. I'm putting in the chat right now a link to register for the Power Breakfast. It's going to be here in Florham Park, New Jersey, and we'll be covering it from 7:30 till 11 a.m. So we'll have Dale as the keynote speaker, and then we have the conference panel at where we're going to talk about where you get the financing to grow your business. So, definitely a great opportunity to learn, connect with people. If you're looking for financing, or if you're just preparing or thinking about financing, this is a good place for you to be able to do a little bit of that. So, invite you to come. And if you can't come, or if it's not local, maybe you're not going to make it this time, but we're looking at moving it to different places. So hopefully we will have you, an opportunity to host you at some point. So sorry about that. I'm double multitasking, but we're just want to make sure you get the link to learn a little bit more. And if you're in the area and available, I invite you to participate. So Power Breakfast, October 29th. And I'll get that out to you in a minute. Hey, Karen, how are you doing? Welcome from Pittsburgh. Also, from LinkedIn. So that's where we're having it. This is the link for the Power Breakfast and where it's located. And always appreciate feedback. And definitely it's great to know that, we're providing valuable information for you. So I do invite you to put questions in the chat. Let me know if there's something that, I can tell you about that would be valuable to what you're trying to do. And what else we got? Okay. So let me just, okay. All right. And, okay. All right. So everything's in the chat now. Okay. Hey, Karen. Okay. Great. So, that's a little bit about the Power Breakfast. And, we're doing a lot of different things. And, looking forward to a great year. I think a lot of people, including myself, are preparing for really the end of the year. Because, at this time of year, time goes really, really fast. So definitely because of that, you need to take advantage of every single day in terms of what you can get done and how you can move forward. Hey, Cynthia, welcome as well from Pittsburgh. Glad to have you join us. I was just back there a couple times last month, and it's great to see things are going well in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's a city on the move, so definitely a great place to be. Excellent. Thanks for joining us, and along with Karen from Pittsburgh. So, still not sure what's up with my background. I guess the gremlins are in full effect. It fixes itself and then it doesn't. So maybe I need a new camera or whatever, but we'll figure that out before next week for sure. Just started doing that this evening. So, the topic tonight is about running your business like a pro. So what does that mean? If you're running your business like a pro, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And really one of the most important things it comes down to is planning and preparing for the future. In business, you always have a million things to do. And there's always a lot of things that are important and urgent. But there's also things that are important and not urgent. And unfortunately, those tend to not get done. And those are the things that can really move your business forward and help you achieve the goals that you ultimately want to achieve. So one of the things that you have to do is take the time to step away and think about and envision where you want your business to be. But you also have to understand and assess where your business currently is, because that's the first step. Knowing where you are, understanding where you want to go. So you have to know, at the end of the day, knowing yourself and knowing where you are really drives a lot of, developing your plans and strategies for your business, because you can't really plan or strategize around anything if you don't know those things. And many times business owners don't really know what they are. The assessment's especially challenging many times because you as a business owner, it's difficult for you to assess where you are because you're internal. You can't see or understand how other people view you or your business fully. Many times because they won't tell you, or just, you're looking at it through a lens that they're not looking at it through. So, it's important to have people on your team, whether mentors, friends, family, coaches, consultants, employees, that help you to be able to get a more accurate assessment of you and your business. Not only do you have to assess your business, but you have to assess yourself. Everybody's at a different place along their developmental journey, and understanding where you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, and understanding how you're different from others. Because at the end of the day, we talk about small business success being about leadership, and you are the ultimate leader. So, how do you become a better leader? The first thing you got to do is become better at knowing who you are and how you operate, and understanding your personality and understanding how that could be different from others people's, and developing your skills to communicate and influence people with different styles, and being able to shift and flex so that you can do that more effectively. That's one of the reasons why when I'm working with people, one of the books I always recommend is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because relationships are key to everything. So if you haven't read Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you definitely need to, because that's an outstanding perspective and shares some tremendous knowledge. Many things seem elementary, but sometimes you need to go back to the basics and understand the basics. But anybody who reads it will get something valuable out of it. I go back and reread it or re-listen to it regularly because, the more experience that you have, that helps you even look at something that you learned before and understand it in a different way. So it's important to, one, develop your relationship building skills, be able to successfully influence people, and being able to make friends and build relationships, long-lasting relationships, where you're adding value to them and they're adding value to you. So those are some key components of really starting out and looking at how can you run your small business like a pro. And, we'll go into a little bit more, but I'm going to take a break and just show a quick video about my book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro. It'll give you a little bit more of a feel for what it is. And, I'll still try and figure out this technical thing. And we'll be back in a minute and really go into it. While I'm gone, appreciate you guys joining in. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat. I see that, definitely, Cynthia, appreciate you asking about Pittsburgh. I'll probably be out in Pittsburgh maybe before the end of the month, but probably in early November. And I'll definitely be there for Thanksgiving. So, feel free to reach out. Maybe we might be able to connect while I'm there. So let's take a look at the Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, and I'll be right back to continue talking about secrets and strategies for being able to run your business more professionally.
Growing revenue, increasing profitability, and obtaining financing are the results of running your small business like a pro.
This is really the path to achieving the success that most entrepreneurs and business owners are looking to achieve. But it's a path where most people get stuck between step one and step two. Businesses close every day because their owners were not able to create a successful, sustainable enterprise. If you do not create an enterprise, the only way that you can sell your business successfully is you sell yourself with it.
This book is a common sense guide for learning how to run your small business as a professional enterprise.
You can pick up the book as a new entrepreneur or as a seasoned entrepreneur and get something out of it. It's very educational.
It provides a fundamental understanding of the challenges small businesses face with real-world solutions that drive results.
Life examples of what happens in business with cash flow, handling money, very, very accurate, and they were experiences that I've had.
Structure. If I do a shoot, I know that there are certain steps that I have to take to get me to where I need to go. But when it comes to business, I didn't have the same sense of what needed to be done. Andrew helped me see systems, the steps we take to grow your business. So he's helped systematize it.
I worked with a client who was looking to retire and sell his business and expected to get over $500,000 for it. However, when I assessed the business and looked to figure out what the value was, it was less than $100,000. Why was this? Because he didn't create an enterprise. The business was centered around him, and without him, there wasn't a business. This book helps you to understand how to create an enterprise where it can run successfully without you.
Get your copy today. Andrew Frazier's new book online at www.runningyoursmallbusinesslikeapro.com. Also available on Amazon.
Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Today we're going to talk about, or continue talking about, running your small business like a pro. It's Andrew Frazier, and I'm the host and the guest this evening. A little bit my fault. I didn't do a good job of making sure I had a guest nailed down for tonight. So a little bit of a hole, but this is an opportunity to really share some things that I've been working on that can be helpful for you as a business owner, and just better understanding some of the steps and key strategies for being able to run your business more professionally so that you can grow your revenues, increase profitability, and obtain financing. So with that said, why don't we start with growing revenues? How do you grow revenues? What's the key to growing revenues? That's the biggest and first challenge every business owner has is, when you're working on the concept of your business, figuring out what your products and services are, figuring out who the target market is and who's most likely to buy your product or service, and then going from that planning to actually implementing and seeing if your plan was the right plan. Your no plan is going to be perfect and do everything for you in the future, but at least you have a plan so you know what you're trying to do and you can tell if it's working or not. Just like the weatherman, they rarely get the weather exactly right, but it's way better than having a weather forecast than not having one. And that's really what a plan is about. It's about having an idea and an understanding and figuring out what you expect to happen. Now, maybe it might not happen exactly that way, but it's way better than just going out there and having no idea what's going to happen and not being prepared. At least if things don't happen as planned, then you can prepare. You already know that you need to make a change immediately if things don't look like they're going to happen as you plan. So, at the end of the day, when you're growing revenues, it's about planning. It's about your marketing plan. It's about your marketing strategy and how do you implement that successfully. And, in business, like in life and everything else, there's best practices. There's proven practices and strategies and tools and resources to help you be successful. So you don't have to create the wheel by yourself. Use what's out there. In business, there's nothing, very few things except for patents or trademarks that you can't borrow from somewhere else. As a business owner, you need to be a student of business. I'm always looking at different businesses that I go to. Do I like their logo? Do I like their service? Do I like their website? Evaluating things and taking things that you like and noticing things that you don't like. Because that's how you learn, how you develop. And if you see something you like, there's nothing wrong with borrowing it for your business. So, I encourage you to continually look around you. Think about things. Think about their business. Think about their business model. How do they make money? What are their operations like? How is it consistent products and services, or is the quality and experience different at different times? All those things go into how professionally your business is run. Now, from day 1 to day 2, you're not going to be able to change things overnight, but it's a continuous process. And as you develop skills and as you develop your team, you're going to be able to continually move forward if you make that a priority. But it's about doing things that are important but not urgent, in addition to doing the things that are important and urgent. So you have to take the time out to do those. Growing your revenues. What are the challenges in growing revenues? Because that's one of the biggest problems business owners have. It could be your product or service. It could be your target market. You're not reaching out to the right people to provide your products, who value your products and services and are willing to pay for them. It could be your messaging. Are you communicating effectively to the right people about that you're offering them what they value and what they need? Are you reaching out to them in the right channels? Are you just talking out there somewhere where they aren't? So there's so many pieces to fit together in terms of your marketing, such that any one missing piece can be detrimental to your business. So that's why it's so hard for businesses to grow, because figuring that out can take time. It takes planning. It takes analysis. It takes assessment. So when you're early on in business, that's your goal. When you're working in your business, your goal is to figure out, the right market, the right products, the right message, and how to deliver it effectively and successfully. So the first thing you got to do is learn how to grow your revenues, making sales. So what is the key to being able to make more sales easier and faster? Anybody in the office, in the audience, feel free to put it in the chat. What's the key to be able to make more sales easier and faster? Because that is one of the things that you need to know as a business owner. So I'll give you a second, see if we get a response. But at the end of the day, what is one of the key things that you need to know to be able to successfully market and sell your products? So let's see. Okay, I also see from the chat, Tara's here. Thanks for joining us, Tara. Always great to have you, and hope all is going well with your Bricks for Kids, and look forward to catching up. So it's important to understand that sales is important, but you can sell a lot more effectively by marketing effectively. So the better you market, the less you have to sell. And if you get good enough at marketing, you don't even have to sell. And that's really the ultimate of what you want to be doing, especially in terms of being able to grow your revenues. So how do you do that? What's the first thing you need to do? And something that so many business owners don't even think about, but it's super important and really easy. But it's something that you need to focus on to be able to grow your revenues. How many of you have sold and been in sales? Many business owners don't even think that their job is to sell as a business owner, but your number one job is to sell and market. So many business owners have never had experience or training in sales. They may not know the difference between sales and marketing. They may not, you may not know much about marketing. But if that's your most important job to having a successful business, then what should you be doing? You need to become an expert at sales and marketing. So that means you should be learning everything you can about sales and marketing. The best salespeople still go to sales training because there's always more that you can learn. And it's so important that that can make the difference between making a sale and not making a sale, or making a lot of sales and only making a few sales. So developing your skills in sales and marketing needs to be a strategy for every business owner. And not only developing those skills, using those skills. Every day, you should be able to do something that moves your business forward in terms of sales and marketing. There's so many different things that you can do. But the first thing you want to do is start with the marketing strategy and your sales strategy and plan, and then go from there into how you're going to implement it, rather than just doing random sales and marketing things and expecting them to work. What you need to do has to fit a strategy and be aligned so that you get maximum impact when you do it, and you get longer lasting impact because what you're doing currently reinforces what you're going to be doing in the future and builds your brand. So when you're going to grow revenues, it's about marketing and sales, doing it consistently, having a strategy and plan behind it and goals, and, learning how to be good at it. So as a business owner, the first takeaway is your job is to market and sell. It's not to make products. It's not to manage people. It's not to develop products. It's about marketing and selling to grow and sustain your business. So that's really what we're talking about in terms of growing revenue. So we've covered, actually, even when my guests are here, an hour goes really fast, and I'm looking up and it's, quarter till. So what I'm going to do is take a quick break, show you a video, just a little bit about the, a little bit more about the running your small business like a pro. And then, I'll be back to close out. But if you have questions, please put your questions up in the chat. And, we'll definitely get to them. Thanks, Tara, for your comment. You read the one-page marketing plan. I highly recommend that as well, because if you want to understand marketing, especially from a small business perspective, the one-page marketing will give you a very valuable education, as well as a way to develop your marketing plan easier and faster, and even develop it more effectively. So it doesn't, so it's no longer scary or a huge endeavor to write out a long marketing plan. You can put that together in a page and have something that's consistent and probably better than most people who write out, 10, 20, 40 page business plans. So, Tara, I hope you found the book valuable. Just type in the chat. Let me know what you thought of it, and tell me what was the most valuable thing that you learned from the book. Because, having that small business perspective is key, because much marketing is taught and developed really with an emphasis on what large businesses need to do. And at the end of the day, if you're a small business, you actually may need to do the opposite of what larger businesses need to do, because you can't compete head to head with large businesses. You have to compete where you have advantages and where being small creates opportunities for you. So, so definitely, understanding that is key. And the one-page marketing plan really lays that out in a good way, and is down to earth, straightforward, and really just tells it like it is. So definitely encourage you to check out the one-page marketing plan. And let's take a look real quick at another video talking about running your small business like a pro.
My first book is Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, and really that took me 5 years to write. It was, your first book, as you know, is the hardest one.
Right, exactly. Let me take a.
But it really took the work of working with 500 plus business owners.
So 500, wow, that's great.
Looked at the patterns that I've seen and really broke down the things that they needed to know in terms of, how did they get where they are now? What's their most important job as a business owner? What is their greatest fear? And then, is it your employees, or are you crazy? Because, definitely managing people is a challenge for small businesses, and just, important things about financing and retirement, all those things that you need to know as a business owner, but where would you have learned them? Who's teaching you that? So many business owners don't know those things.
Okay. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05 Talking Small Business. We're talking about running your small business like a pro. One of the things, there's really three key things that it does for you. Number one, it focuses on how can you grow revenues. And that's really what we spent the majority of our time on is, how can you grow your revenues? Because that's important. And that's what's going to keep you in business, and that's what's going to allow you to grow. So generally, initially, you're working within your business, trying to figure out the right model to create a viable business and find a market that values your product enough to buy it. From there, and that's really what working in your business. But you can't stop there. Once you've been able to find a viable product and market for your products and services, you have to optimize your business. You have to figure out, well, how can I make my business better? How can I deliver better customer service? How can I make my products better? How can I become more profitable? How can I manage more effectively? Really putting in policies, procedures, processes. But before you can do that, you actually have to have sales and be able to have a viable business model and viable market for your products and services. But, one of the things that's great about business, but terrible about business is, you're always learning new things, facing new challenges. So once you overcome one challenge, you just end up with new challenges. First you had to figure out, how to create a viable product, but now you need to shift gears and you have to work on your business. How do I optimize my business? And, that takes a lot of different skills and it's done in a lot of different ways. So, we're not going to get into that now. And what we may need to do is really break running your small business like a pro, or run your business like a pro, into 3 segments. So this was the first one, focused on growing revenues. The next one is going to be focused on increasing profitability. And then the last one, we'll talk about obtaining financing. So, hopefully that is something that, will be valuable to you. So I put in the chat recommended reading. Definitely one important way that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs learn is by reading. Either reading the books, listening to them on Audible. I'm more partial to Audible these days because it's just a lot easier given my lifestyle and focus. But there's nothing like also having a book in your hand. I listened to the one-page marketing plan on Audible, but I also had to buy the book because it was so tremendous that we find it important to have the book and be able to read the book and write in the book. So Cynthia, great question. Where do you find these books? So if you go to the recommended reading, this link here, it will actually take you to, it'll actually take you to, links to that book and many other books that you may want to check out. So encourage you to check it out and let me know what you think. It also has links to some of my books and books from other authors that you may find valuable. So so what is it? www.runningyoursmallbusinesslikeapro.com/books is where you can find it. One thing I did, because a lot of people read my initial book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro, and really found it valuable. People are like, oh, I changed my whole business strategy around, or I'm gonna do a different type of business, or I'm gonna change my target market, or many other things. So it's important to continually assess and continually learn, and you can do that by reading. That's a great way, but not the only way. And your education process should take many forms and and be multifaceted, because there's so many things you need to know as a business owner, and you can't possibly know them all, but you need to get to know as many as you can, because what you don't know can hurt you, and it will hurt you. Being one of the key things to being successful is making good business decisions. But to make good business decisions, you need good information to be able to make them. Good information and knowledge. And if you make bad business decisions, what happens is you lose money. And nobody wants to lose money. Of course, everybody's going to lose some money as you go through. I've lost money, I've made money, and that's part of the cure. But the key is making more money than you lose on a consistent basis, and not losing any money that you don't have to lose. So, hopefully that's helpful, gives you an idea of what you can do. I'm going to take a minute also, on the books page, one thing I did was I created a workbook, or a companion workbook, to go along with my book. And it's only available through my site or the Small Business Pro University, but it really gives you exercises on the different things we outline in the book in terms of financial management, in terms of being able to put together your 60-second commercial, because it's one thing to learn things, it's another thing to practice them and do them in a practical way. So something to think about. I'm going to just show a quick video on that, and I'm just going to leave you with a few key things that you should take away from what we talked about tonight, so that you can implement them immediately within your business. So let's take a look and learn a little bit about what we have in terms of the SB Pro workbook.
The first book, people really liked and found it valuable, but to get more out of it, I put together a workbook.
Okay.
So,
nice. Okay.
One of the things we talk about is your greatest fear as a business owner,
right.
which is numbers and analysis. So in the book, we talk about your financials, your financial statements, what you should look for, but just reading about it versus doing exercises on it, that really helps you to understand it better. We also have the 60-second commercial format.
Right.
And in here,
real good exercises,
you can create your own. So it allows you to really take what you read about and actually employ it for you and for your business.
Excellent.
Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host and guest today, Andrew Frazier, and really enjoyed hanging out with you this evening, talking a little bit about running your business like a pro. There's really three key components. The way I look at it is, number one, growing revenues, number two, increasing profitability, and number three, obtaining financing. And each of those requires different skills to be in a different space. So today we really only had time to cover growing revenues and some key strategies around that and key secrets around that. So I just want to take a minute to close out by just recapping a couple of the most important things that you should be taking away and thinking about how you can implement them in your business starting tomorrow. So one thing that put together or came up with is a way to understand marketing or the key things you need to do in terms of marketing as a small business owner and learn it real quickly and easily. What I call it is 3 reasons to market like a drug dealer. Of course, I don't condone drugs or anything of the site, but there's things that you can learn from different experiences and different examples. And what it does is provide a clear example. So what are those 3 things? The first thing is drug dealers don't sell to everyone. They offer their drugs, but they never try and make anybody buy drugs. Have you ever seen a drug dealer chase someone down the street and try and get them to buy drugs? How many business owners have you had chase you down and you knew you didn't want what they had, but they still try and get it? That's not a good strategy as a business owner. And if you find that you're doing that, then you're probably either talking to the wrong person, you have the wrong product, you have the wrong message. So if you have to do that, it's important to reevaluate what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, what they do is they offer drugs, and drugs sell themselves. So with your business, you should be offering your products or services to the right people, and then the right people will realize that that's the solution to their problem or their challenge. So it'll be like, oh, that's what I needed. So you don't have to chase them down to get them to buy. You already have what they need, and they can recognize it if you demonstrate it and communicate it correctly. So the first thing is, don't try to sell to everybody. Narrow things down to the target market of people who are most likely to buy from you. Number 2, drug dealers don't overpay for marketing. As a business owner, when you have a business, marketing opportunities and people come out of the woodwork wanting to do marketing and sales services and lead generation services and all kinds of stuff. And it's really easy to spend a lot of money without much results. So before you really start spending money on marketing, you need to work on developing your marketing strategy. Overall, what's the best way and how are you going to market in a consistent and aligned way to achieve the goals that you're looking for? Marketing is an investment, so you have to look at it and make sure that your investment pays off. So if you're going to spend $1,000 on marketing, how much did that $1,000 increase your sales? And if it increased your sales only $1,000, that means you lost money because you still had to deliver products and services and other things. So depending on your business and your profit margins, you need to get at least $2,500 in sale, an additional $2,500 in sales for every $1,000 in marketing. And it really should be about $5,000. So, looking at making it an investment that pays off. So, and then finally, drug dealers make friends. Business is about relationships. Life's about relationships. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And those are people who they're in relationships with. So there you have it. Don't sell to everybody. Don't overpay for marketing, and make friends and build relationships. And that's really the keys to growing your revenue. So thanks for joining me this evening. Look forward to catching you next week. We got a great show next week. We're going to have Nelson Tepfer, and he's doing some great things. He's co-founder and managing partner of Pro CFO Partners, and really has a lot of great expertise and experience. And, coming into the planning season and strategy season, it's important to implement certain things within your business. So we're going to talk about, how do you plan and strategize for the future? So looking forward to next week, hanging out with him, talking small business on Leadership Live at 8:05, talking small business. And as always, keep in mind that the more you know, the faster you grow. Take care and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.